Welcome back to Wealthy Mentor Trading, guys. Today is November the 21st, 2021. Today, I'm going to be looking at the S&P 500, where we left off on Friday. I'm also going to be looking at some targets going into next week. And keep in mind, guys, we do have a short week with the Thanksgiving holiday being on Thursday. The markets are closed, and Friday is a short day. Today, I'm also going to be discussing 6 stocks that are on the rise this week, names like Amazon, Moderna, RBLX, which had another crazy 30% gain, NVDA finishing at the top, Tesla and Apple moving up higher to end the week. With that being said, guys, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And just to let you know that we still do have that $99 promo on Discord. It entails 2 months, and it gives you access to all our watch list names, including swing trading, day trading, options callouts, and we do have a new trading watch list, our EV sector, which just aired today. And if you are interested in that, click the link in the description, and that should take you to the checkout page. All right, so let's get into it. We do have the S&P 500 chart open here, and as you guys can see here, we did have a boring week. We did trend around that 4680 area, which was strong support. As you guys can see here, these long wicks representing buyers stepping in and guarding that 4680 area. That's what I wanted to see. We did close Friday's session bullish, just underneath that $4,700 area, and we did push up, creating a double top scenario at that 4720 area, which coincides with this candlestick right here on the 1 hour chart on November the 6th, right? So we do have a double top scenario. So what I'm looking for going into next week is that 4720 area. A break above that will definitely have us pushing to that 4730, which is my first take profit target, and that next one at that 4750 psychological point. I do have round numbers there, as stocks do tend to move in those round numbers, right? Now, to the downside, I do want to continue to see 4680 hold. And if we do receive selling pressure, what you want to do is you want to do shorts all the way down to that 4650 area, where we did have some support here back on November the 11th. Now, if we see continued selling pressure, right, 4630 is an area of support, as we did bounce back here on November the 10th. All right. Overall, I am still bullish on the markets. As long as we stay above that $4,700 area, I'm happy with that. We will continue to test the highs, but keep in mind, we do have a short week next week, so volume is going to be scarce. So make sure when you're entering options contracts, you're entering not just for the week, because it is a shortened week, and your options may get burned quicker than you thought. All right. So with that being said, as I mentioned, I have 6 stocks on the rise this week, and the first name that I wanted to look at is Apple. Apple had a great week, pushing up as much as 7.5%. And just to let you guys know, we do have analyst upgrades on Apple up to $180. That is a street high. And as you guys can see here, on Monday, we were consolidating around that 150 to 151 area, finally creating this bull flag right here. This is the flagpole, and here's the flag itself. We finally broke through. Again, another bull flag scenario, finally broke through, came up here to that 159 area, had a nice pullback, and held support at 156.50 before finishing at the highs at 161, creating a 7.5% move, which was amazing. Analyst JP Morgan does have the 180 price point, so going into next week, I'm looking at that 162 area. If that were to break, I have targets of 165 and my overhead target at 168 being my second take profit zone. Now, let's just say we have an awful week in the markets. What am I looking at to the downside? 159 is that support area for me. It was the breakout point right here on the 19th, and it was resistance right here. So previous resistance now turns to support. So what you want to see is that 159 area hold. Now, let's just say we have market weakness, right? What you want to do, your target would be that 156.50 area. So on the break of 159, you do want to open up shorts, right, for 156.50 as your first target, and 155 as your second take profit target. Now, these 2 areas are key support lines. As you guys can see here, we did have a nice bounce here, and that 155 area was resistance prior, now turns to support. So keep in mind, guys, if a breakdown of 159, these two are key support areas. So if you are shorting, make sure you're closing your positions because this may reverse as Apple tends to move with the S&P 500. Okay, guys? So Apple, pretty bullish on that. Look above that 162 line going into next week. Okay, another name, Tesla, TSLA. Man, great move on Tesla. A lot of guys were counting this one out, thinking it's going to break below that 986 support area, filling that gap at 950, 900. But as I tell members at Wealthy Mentor Trading, don't always go with what the herd is, right? Everyone thinks it's going to fill the gap, but hardly ever do stocks move to according to people's feelings and emotions. And what we saw here, last week was a bounce on that 978 support area. We did bounce closing Friday's session bullish just underneath that 1150 point, right? Now, going into next week, I am looking above 1150 for take profits at 1180, 1186, where we did have a top right here back on November the 8th, and it was the breakdown candle. So I am definitely looking above 1150 for 1180 and 1186, and we might even overshoot to that $1,200, psychological resistance where we did hit right here, wicked up, and that was basically the high back on November the 8th, right? As I mentioned, Tesla did finish up 15% on the week. Those are pretty nice gains. So definitely look above 1150. Now to the downside, keep in mind, Mr. Elon Musk has not finished selling his shares, right? So what you want to see going into next week to the downside, you do want to see that 1120 area hold. As you guys can see here, it was resistance. Now it turns to support. So 1120 is that key friendly area. If that does break, look for 1100 as your first take profit target and 1190 and 1180 as your second take profit target zone, right? We did trend around this area from 1180 to 1100, finally breaking through. So this is an area of support for me. 1080 is the line in the sand. Okay, obviously, if we break 1080, things could get ugly and we potentially push back to $1,000, right? So overall, I am bullish on Tesla, and we did have Wedbush come out on Friday, giving Tesla a $1,400 price target. So keep that in mind going into next week and moving forward into the winter months. Okay, next name, NVIDIA. I love this name, right? NVDA. Strong earnings propelling this all the way to all-time highs, 332. As you guys know, we did have a stock split on this not too long ago, right? And, what can I say? I'm looking at that 333 entry point. We did have a tiny push going into aftermarket on Friday, right? Trending around that 330 to 327 area. And the volume was pretty scarce, right? And notably so because market makers were holding this down, and it did have a strong move on earnings pushing forward. And weeks prior to that, we did have a 14% day. So it is definitely moving fast, but I guess market makers wanted to keep this capped. Also, there's strategies about, burning options calls, killing premiums to both sides. So going into next week, we're going to have a fresh slate. We're going to be looking above that 333 line for potential take profits at 340. Now, 340 is a key area just because prior to the stock split, that area was highly noted, right? So 340 and 345 and a half are two targets that I'm going to be looking at on the break of 333. Now, to the downside, 327 is an area for me for key support. As I mentioned, we did trend around at that area. So 327.50, if that can't hold, 320, 318, and 314 are key support lines. 314 is an important support line. As you guys can see here, we did bounce back on the 18th of November, creating those all-time highs at 333. Overall, NVIDIA did finish up 12%, closing at all-time highs. As you guys can see here, analysts have a street target of $400. That's by Needham, right? They're pretty bullish on it. So I am looking above that 333 area on NVIDIA going into next week. All right. Another name, RBLX. And if you guys were following last week, you guys did know that this thing made a 40% move. And this week, even stronger, right? It had another 30% move. So here we are on Monday, right? I had that entry point above 110, 111 at Wealthy Mentor Trading, and I kept everyone aware of that on Instagram with my posts, right? So 111 was an area for me, and we just came out the gates, busted right through that, hitting both my targets of 115 and 120 respectively. We did trend around that area of 120 before busting out through again with some nice volume to open up on Wednesday. And overall, we did hit that 138.5, right? Twice. One right here on the 18th and once more on the 19th on back-to-back days, creating a double top temporarily. So what am I looking at going into next week? 138.50 is that area for entries, right? And we do have 145 and 150 are my two targets. As I mentioned, this thing did move up 30% after a 40% move, right? Analyst Morgan Stanley, I should say, upgraded the stock with a 150 price point target, which also coincides with my targets to the upside. Now, let's just say we have a terrible week. Since we pushed up 40% and 30% respectively in back-to-back weeks, we are due for a pullback, right? I know you don't want to hear it, but sometimes being up that much and going up that fast requires some sort of pullback, right? Where am I looking at for those pullbacks? 126 is an area for me. If that does break, I am looking at 120 for shorts. So that's my take profit number one. And we did bounce off that line right here. And it was the breakout point on the 17th. So below 126, what you're looking at for shorts is that 120 area and that 115 area, which was my previous target the last week, right? We also did bounce off that, creating a push all the way to 126. So 120, 115, two targets to the downside, but you got to see that 126 area break first. All right. So that's RBLX. I am bullish on this name. Look above that 140 area, that psychological number to enter your positions. One more name right here on, and that would be Moderna, MRNA. And as you guys can see, Moderna had a nice week, pushing up 17%. Here we are on Monday. I had that 240 line, that Wealthy Mentor Trading pegged. I did tell everyone that above that, I was looking at targets to 146 and 250. And boy, did this thing ever push. We pushed all the way to 275. So going into next week, 275 is a key area for me. And I am looking above that, right? I am looking above that for targets of 280, 250, and 289. Now, on Moderna, you know, the CDC panel voted in favor of the COVID booster shots for adults, so that was bullish. And from a technical standpoint, we do have gap fill from that 295 to 315 area, which was the earnings bomb drop, right? So look for that 289 area as my second take profit to break for potentially a push to 295 to 315, right? Like I said, that was the earnings bomb. So we are going to be looking to test those areas if we do receive positive news on Moderna going forward, right? But for right now, 275 is that area that you need to enter on. Now to the downside, 261 is key support. As you guys can see here, we are consolidating around that on the 30-minute chart. A break below that, 255 is a target number one. Consolidated underneath that, resistance turns to support. Target number one. Target number two, 250 to 246 is an area for me, as it was the breakout point to this move right here. Okay, so 255, target number one, and target number two, that 256, 250 to 246 is an area that you should take profits on if you are shorting. All right, guys, keep this name on your watch list, as you guys do know that there is a likelihood of lockdowns being enforced once again in Europe, and the whole COVID, another wave might be coming. As you know, we are entering into the winter months, and that's where most people get sick with flus and whatnot. So keep that in mind on Moderna. And it did pull back quite a bit since its all-time highs. So watch that name. one last name, and this is the sixth name. And this is one of the names that we do trade at Wealthy Mentor Trading. It is part of our large cap watch list, and that's Amazon. AMZN had a nice quiet week right here, but overall pushed as much 7%. Here we are on Monday, just underneath that 35.50 area, pushing up all the way to Friday to that 37.62, just short of all-time highs at 37.73, right? We can match that. We can call that a double top, right? So what am I looking at going into next week? I am looking above that 37.73 for potential take profits at psychological resistance 3800 and 38.50. Now, as I mentioned, we did move 7% higher, right? And it was an all-time highs double top since July. We hit this number right here, 37.73 back on July. So we are going to be testing that once more. On the initial push, we did get rejected, pushing down. So I am going to be watching 3773 going into next week. We also have a high analyst upgrade of 44.60 on Amazon. That is the most bullish target on the market right now on Amazon. So keep that in mind, especially going into Christmas, where there's going to be increased spending. And if there is a lockdown, guess what, guys? Online shopping is going to be booming, right? So that 44.60 target by Analyst, although it might look like a pipe dream right now, but this thing definitely moves during those hours, those Christmas months, right? So watch Amazon going into next week and after that as well. All right, guys, those are 6 stocks on the rise next week. So keep those names in mind. Amazon, Moderna, 17% move last week. RBLX, back-to-back weeks, pushing 40 and 30%. NVDA at all-time highs. Watch that 333 area for a blue sky breakout. Tesla, nice bounce back week, tricking all the bears, thinking that it's going to fill that gap. What? It had a 15% move. So watch Tesla above 1150, and Apple finishing up 7.5% at the highs with analyst upgrades of 180. Great names to keep an eyes on. So keep those on your watch list moving forward. Please, guys, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. It helps with the YouTube algorithms, and it would greatly be appreciated. Thanks, guys, so much, and good luck trading heading into next week. Bye.